Okay, so this is a last topic in foundation art, and this topic is just a beginning, and we can say it's a very brief description of brief demonstration of figure drawing. Okay, if we talk about the figure drawing, so it's a very long and very lengthy topic, and as an artist, if we talk about that, so this topic is like we have to work hard uh, on daily basis in our whole life to be a good anatomy artist, right? So figure drawing artists, there is lots of famous artists that's related to the figure drawing of human anatomy, but they also think that they are not perfect in that. Okay, so this is a very huge topic. Lots of muscles, lots of human poses. There is lots of differentiate in a human body, so we need to create a different drawing. So if I say about the figure drawing, so we begin with the childhood, the newborn baby. Okay, it begin in that, and in the life, and the human body transforms in an old age around 70 or 80 or 90 age. So there's a lots of changes we can find out in a human body, and there is a difference in a male or female both, right? So when we begin with the childhood newborn baby, so the figure drawing begins with that, and the end when the age is going to 80 or 90-year-old character. So it's not a very short kind of drawing, and if we think about human anatomy, so it's depends on the country wise, and the different area wise, there is a differential we can find out in a human anatomy in everywhere. Suppose we are going to design a character, it's a Chinese character, there comes from China, so definitely we need to understand about their anatomy. Their anatomy and the Indian anatomy is a difference. And we think about the England and American character, European character especially. So their physical anatomy and body structure is different. We can see in East India or North Indian. So again, the complexion, the color combination is changed and everywhere according to the climate, right? So human anatomy, it's not a topic which we can cover it within a few slides or within a few practice time. It is topic is like it's a kind of sea, so we need to just jump inside it, and we need to spend our whole life to understand about the human anatomical drawing, because when it comes in a character and visual design in our animation, where is it's required. So definitely when we you would be suppose in future you would be a modeler, or you need to design a certain characters, animal or humans. So you need to understand about the human anatomy, muscles, right? Everything you need to understand the proportions. Then you can design a good character or 3D model. So this is why you need to understand about the proportions or the basic muscles of human body, and how to transform a character into young age to old age, right? So all this thing you has to understand, and for the animation point of view, you can understand about the joints, right? So in the posing, so all this thing if we want to do in future, so we need to understand basic anatomy, right? And this is the start of basic anatomy. So first of all, you all has to understand about the importance of figure drawing. So in a point of animation industry, in modeling there is a use of human anatomy. In animation there is a use of animation, there is a use of human anatomy figure drawing. And if we talk about the character and visual design, so definitely we all know about the importance of human figure drawing. If we are designing a character, so maybe it would be a combination of human and animal, it would be a combination of imaginative character, but the physicality and the similarity comes from the human anatomy, right? So we just have to make few changes in the character, and then we can make our own design character, right? So what is figure drawing is? So here we begin. Figure drawing is the practice of drawing from live models in different poses. It means when we start learning figure drawing, so we need to observe the character. Observe the character, it means someone sitting, suppose your mother sitting in the kitchen and she was doing some kind of work. So you should understand, you should observe the pose of your mother and try to draw, right? So there is the beginning of the drawing. First begin with the observation. If your observation improved, then your drawing would be easily improved. Typically this is done with the real models and working from life, not photos. So it means if you want to learn human figure drawing, so first of all you should understand about the three-dimensional poses or three-dimensional body of human figure. Suppose someone sitting, someone sleeping, someone standing, someone talking to each other. So what their poses is exactly. So you should observe first. So first of all, you need to improve your observation. After that, we will begin with the drawing. When you attend figure drawing sessions, you are always drawing from life because you're working from a real reference, the model. When you draw from life, you are attempting to capture the world as it really is. So it means when you try to draw from the real human being, so we can capture the exact real figure. We can are capturing the real human anatomy, right? So this means studying forms, proportions, perspectives, shading, and all the fundamentals that go along with the learning to draw. All these aspects comes in a human figure drawing also. It means the studying form it means the body form, right? Proportions, कहाँ क्या proportions हो सकते हैं. Suppose एक बच्चा और उसके father खड़े हुए हैं साथ में. So how you exactly make your proportions better, right? Perspective, it means the distance. Shading, it means the volume create करना pencil से, and all the fundamentals that go along with learning to draw. Note that practicing from photo reference is perfectly fine, right? It's not like that कि आप photo से practice नहीं कर सकते. It's perfectly fine, but in fact it is the best way to practice if you're at home with a computer. But every artist needs time to in front of the model. It trains your eye to see things that photograph just can't capture, right? Because when we try to take reference from the photograph, so photograph is a two-dimensional, right? And we are copying a two-dimensional photograph, and then we are trying to make it two-dimensional drawing. So our eye is just observing 2D figures and they are just making 2D figure, right? So both is two-dimensional drawings and we are just trying to copy the each lines from the photographic reference. If we are working from the real life model, so there is a no lines, there is a three-dimensional figure and we need to observe from the eyes exactly form and we need to convert it into 2D. So when in future we work with the Maya or we work as a character modeler or designer, so we have to convert a two-dimensional drawing which artists provide us, and we need to convert it into a 3D model. So we need to go to observe two-dimensional drawing and we need to convert it into three-dimensional drawing. So that's the basic process. First we learn from the three-dimensional drawing to convert into two-dimensional, and then with the reference of two-dimensional, then we have to convert it into three-dimensional in future when you work with the as a character modeler, right? So there is a basic process. Okay, so it trains your eyes to things that photographs just can't capture. This makes you more practical in all of your work, and that includes animation or illustration where exaggeration is important. In animation and illustration से मतलब है कि एनिमेशन में हम जैसे कैरेक्टर बनाते हैं. सो टॉम एंड जेरी आपने देखा होगा. सो इन अ टूनिश और कार्टूनिश एनिमेशन जनरली वी फाउंड द एग्जैजरेशन. एग्जैजरेशन इट मींस एक हाथ को बहुत लंबा करके वो किसी चीज को स्ट्रेच करके वो चीजों को उठा सकता है. सपोज टॉम एंड जेरी आपने सीरीज देखा होगा. यू आर यू वॉच्ड टॉम एंड जेरी एंड देयर इज lots of series or animation series. You can see the Up movie in a side. And if you think about the illustrations, in an illustration you see in the one more exaggeration 3D animation. You can find out on So Sorry, it comes on Aastak, I think. It's an animation based series and they created satire on the politicians. Okay, so just check it out, these series. There is an exaggeration of the human expressions and the human anatomy also. So when you learn from the real life poses, you can easily exaggerate it. जैसे आपने अगर सपोज नरेंद्र मोदी का कार्टून देख रहा हो न्यूज चैनल पे, सो सॉरी में जनरली, तो आपका रियल लाइफ ऑब्जर्वेशन कितना अच्छा है तो आप उस कैरेक्टर को बहुत अच्छे तरीके से रिजेम्बलेंस के साथ बना सकते हो. So if your observation is good, then you can design your character very much related, right? From the real life. Generally, it's called caricature. Stick figure drawing. What exactly the beginning of the human figure drawing is begin with the stick figure. Stick figure, stick से मतलब होता है लाइन या लकड़ी या पत्ती या डंडी. So we can call it stick figure. The best way to learn to draw the human figure is to start as simple as possible. जितना easy हो सके उस easy possible way के साथ हम काम शुरू करते हैं. So forget about shadows and values. It means we don't focus on the volume and the shadows. Forgot about the skin and bones and facial features. All these things we know, no need to start working on that. Many people who don't know how to draw a human figure drawing, they often start with basic stick figure sketch, right? So our beginning also begin with the stick figure. They could be your boss, your client, your friend who want to share ideas with you in visual format. Sometime in future when you work with your teammates, or suppose there would be your boss or client, so actually they are not good artists. It's not every time you found the your director, creative director, and the client is a would be a good artist. So sometimes they just share their thought in pictures, so they use these kind of rough lines, rough sketches, or we can say the stick drawing. तो हम एक कैरेक्टर बनाने के लिए क्या करते हैं, हमने एक हेड के लिए एक सर्कल बना दिया, हाथ बनाने के लिए दो स्टिक बना दी, एक डंडी बना दी, उसके पैरों के लिए दो डंडी और ऐड कर दिया तो उसका पैर और ह्यूमन टॉर्सो बन गया. सो जनरली स्टिक फिगर को हम बात को समझाने के लिए यूज करते हैं. तो इस तरीके की ड्राइंग कोई भी यूज कर सकता है. बट इफ यू टेक अ स्टिक फिगर एंड ऐड सम शोल्डर्स एंड हिप्स, you get something that looks a lot more like a human than the usual stick figure. If you also add in some hands and feet and some bands at the elbows and knees, some volume to the head, and keep all the parts roughly in proportion to a real person, you will end up with something that's both easy to draw and recognizable as a human. In art, this simplified figure is called an armature. Armature, it means the internal body structure. Internal body structure, we can say the spinal bone, the head, size of the skull, the bones of the shoulder, the bones of the hand. All those things come na armature because it's an inside, right? So we need to create armature. So before creating an armature, before creating a stick line, as an anatomy learner or in a student phase, learning phase of time, we need to understand about the proportions. Proportion, it means size and ratio of the body, कि हेड कितना बड़ा होना चाहिए बॉडी में, शोल्डर कितने ब्रॉड होने चाहिए, हाथ कितने बड़े लंबे होने चाहिए, ठीक है, एल्बो कहाँ आएगा, फीट कहाँ आएंगे, नीज कहाँ होंगे. सो ऑल दीज इंफॉर्मेशन फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल वी शुड अंडरस्टैंड. आफ्टर दैट वी विल बिगिन विद द स्टिक फिगर ड्राइंग. ठीक है. सो ये सारी चीजें आपको कवर करना होगा. Every person is a little bit different. Some people have long legs and a short torso. Other people might have long arms and or wide shoulder. For these kind of problems, you have to be a good observer, right? So suppose in future we are designing a character and we need to understand about the different character and different features of the human. So when we begin our study with the real life poses or real life characters, so we can easily understand which kind of people we are facing. Our observation skill is going to be improved, and if it's improved first, then we can design any kind of character because the several different ideas and designs already inserted in our mind, and when we want to draw something, we can capture this particular pose or movement and the differentiate of the character we can easily put uh, in a character design, right? So the classical proportion of an adult is in roughly 7.5 heads tall, right? So the standard figure proportion क्या है? 7.5 heads, right? 7.5 head, it means अगर हम बॉडी में अपने काउंट करते हैं, वी काउंट इन आवर बॉडी एज अ ह्यूमन एडल्ट बॉडी, सो वी फाउंड 7.5 हेड्स टोटल, यानी एक हमारा सर है, ऐसे 7.5 हेड टोटल काउंट हो सकते हैं हमारी लंबाई में. ठीक है. द टॉप ऑफ द हेड to the pubic area is 4 heads high. The legs are about 3.5 head lengths tall, but many people stretch them in 4 heads. So generally जो स्टैंडर्ड है इट्स 7.5 हेड्स का रेशियो हम स्टैंडर्ड फॉलो करते हैं. वी नीड टू फॉलो द 7.5 हेड रेशियो, जिसमें से 4 हेड जो आ जाते हैं वो हमारे टॉर्सो तक आ जाते हैं. ठीक है. एंड 3.5 लेग के लिए आता है. बट मोस्ट ऑफ द टाइम when the people design a character as a superhuman character or kind of a character, we have to show a very lengthy or very strong and powerful character, so we can add 4 heads for the leg and 4 head for the torso and head. So total we counted 8 heads. But if we are designing a realistic human figure, so generally our human anatomy is in a 7.5 head, right? Any doubt? Want to ask anything, guys? Just let me confirm quickly. समझ आ रहा है जो अभी तक बताया? आधे तो सुन ही नहीं होंगे।
Yes, sir.
अबे आधे तो सुन ही नहीं रहो तुम लोग, तो सुनोगे क्या? सो पीपीटी मैंने शेयर कर दी है, देख लेना ये क्या है। इस तरीके से बॉडी फिगर बनता है, यहाँ स्लाइड्स लगे हुए हैं। सो 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 एंड 8 हेड का रेशियो में दिखाया है। स्टैंडर्ड जो हम फॉलो करते हैं वो 7.5 हेड का रेशियो होता है, ठीक है। 8 हेड्स को हम लॉन्ग और लेंथी कैरेक्टर बना सकते हैं। सो इस तरीके से आपको प्रोपोर्शन को डिवाइड करना है जब भी आप कैरेक्टर को बनाओगे। And we begin with the stick figure. तो यहाँ step दिए हुए हैं, how to start with the stick figure drawings. Draw the head. The first step in drawing an armature is to draw an oval for the head, right? So this is the beginning of head. Always start with the head because it establishes the proportion of the rest of the body. When you draw an oval for head, you should be aware about the pose of figure, that is in front, side or back. So we should understand the head proportion. We have to just mention in an oval, but the face, when it on the side face we want to draw, so the oval should be little bit changed, and we have to design from the back side. So oval should be little bit changed. So we need to understand from the observation that which kind of oval we have to use for the side, which kind of oval we have to use for the front and for the back view, right? So there are few differences we have to mention for the front, side and back, but we need to start with the oval for the head, right? This is the first step of a stick drawing. Step 2, draw the face map. Line around the middle of the oval represent the eye line, right? So if I draw an oval, so my cursor is visible. So in a center, we need to place eye, again the bottom half of the half, we have to mention the nose, other than half of the half, mouth, and in the last we need to mention chin. Okay, so this is the oval, and in this way we have to understand about the center line. So ऊपर की तरफ, नीचे की तरफ, so we need to just mention the oval in this way. Oh, the mouth is halfway between the nose line and the chin. You can add those lines if you want to show the direction and tilt of the head. So we need to mention it. ऊपर नीचे इस तरीके से आप इन लाइंस को यूज कर सकते हो जब भी हेड को हमें अरेंज करना है. सो वी जस्ट मेंशन सेंटर लाइन फॉर द आईज, हाफ ऑफ द half circle for nose, half of the bottom for the mouth, and for last one is called chin. So in this way you can start. Right, so this is the second step. Third step, we just added a neck or spine. Now we have to add a line for the neck. This line generally represents the spine. Don't worry about anatomy yet, just have the line start at the back of the sphere opposite the face. So come on yaar, go on in. So you should consider the line from the back because it's an representable line. We can say it's just a representation for the spinal bone, spine bone. So it comes from the back side of the head. So in this way we can arrange the line. So it's just represent the part of neck. Okay. After that we can add the spinal cord. The next step is to draw a torso. So just draw a line that represents torso. Torso, it means the body, shoulder to waist line. कमर तक का जो एरिया हमारा होगा comes torso, right? We need to give proper curve like spine according to the pose which we want to draw. Do not focus on the muscular curves. We need to capture only action or movements of the body, right? So in this way, suppose the character is tilted, suppose character is standing on the weight of the one leg, so we have to mention about with the torso body ka curve kaisa. Suppose someone sitting straight, so we can understand, we can consider a spinal bone as a straight line. So this is the way we need to fix it. But now tell me, how many heads comes from the head to spine? जहाँ वेस्ट लाइन तक कितने हेड आएंगे? हाउ मेनी हेड्स कम्स इन अ टॉर्सो? जस्ट टेल मी गाइस. 3.5. No.
4, sir.
Exactly, four heads. We should draw four heads for head to torso, and then for legs, torso to legs, there is a 3.5 head. But if we are going to design a character as a superhuman character or too tall character, we need to design. So we need to draw four head for the torso and four head for the legs. We can stretch the legs a little bit, right? So in this way, we can design a supernatural character or a tall character kind of thing, right? So here we have to mention four heads, one, two, then three, and then four head. So we need to mention or measure the size according to head कि हमारी बॉडी में यहाँ चार हेड अगर आ रहे हैं तो ये ठीक है, चार से ज्यादा आ रहे हैं so it means हमने कहीं ना कहीं हेड को छोटा बनाया. So we need to increase the size of the head, so our proportion should be perfect. Once you have drawn the torso line, the hip line will be perpendicular to it, facing forward. The hip are wider than the head, but as the body turns to the side, this line foreshortens and could be as small as a single point. Right, so it means if we are walking in a front pose, so we can make this line in a proportion. It comes from the outside of the face. Just the thickness of this line is broad when we measure it with the hand, right? But suppose the character is in a side view, so we consider this line as a point. So it comes in a single point because lines come in a foreshortened way. Foreshort समझते हो आप लोग? You can understand about the foreshort drawings या foreshortening.
No, sir.
नो, फोर शॉट इट मींस जब हम किसी भी चीज को ना अपने सामने पैरेलल लाइन में देखते हैं, पैरेलल लाइंस में देखते हैं, जैसे कि सपोज मेरा हाथ आपके फेस की तरफ आगे की तरफ आ रहा है, आईज की तरफ, तो वो आईज से जो हाथ की लाइन एक स्ट्रेट लाइन बनती है, सो वी कैन सी द ओनली सर्कल. जब हम किसी भी चीज को अपनी आईज के एकदम पैरेलल देखते हैं, सामने की तरफ देखते हैं, ठीक है. तो साइड व्यू से अगर हम एक मैच स्टिक को देखेंगे, तो मैच स्टिक को हम देखेंगे तो हमारी उसकी लेंथ शॉर्ट हो जाएगी, ठीक है, लंबाई कम हो जाती है ना. अगर हमारी आंख के एकदम जस्ट सामने कोई लाइन होगी या स्टिक होगी, तो उसकी जो लेंथ और लंबाई होगी वो शॉर्ट हो जाती है. सो फोर शॉर्टन उसको बोलते हैं. सो सेम ह्यूमन बॉडी के साथ भी होता है. जब ह्यूमन बॉडी में कोई भी पोज हमारे फ्रंट आईज की तरफ, सामने की तरफ दिख रहा होता है या बनाना होता है, सो वी हैव टू फोकस ऑन द फोर शॉर्टनिंग ड्राइंग. फोर शॉर्टनिंग ड्राइंग इट मींस वी हैव टू जस्ट डू फोर शॉर्ट. तो हाथ जैसे कि अगर सामने की तरफ आ रहा है हमारे, तो हाथ का आगे का हिस्सा बड़ा हो जाएगा, बाकी की बोन फोर शॉर्ट हो जाएगी, इट मींस छोटी होना शुरू हो जाएगी. सो इन दिस वे कई बार ऐसा होता है कि हम केवल ड्राइंग को केवल सर्कल की तरह बनाते हैं. सपोज जैसे आपने देखा होगा ना कि जब आप रास्ते में होते हो, सो वी फाइंड आउट द लॉट्स ऑफ आयरन रॉड्स इफ इन द ट्रक और समथिंग एल्स, so we can find out only circle, so they use the red cloth or kind of thing, so we can understand that in front of our eyes there would be a iron rods or something else. So in this way we can understand about the foreshortened drawing. मैं कुछ ड्राइंग्स में जब आगे एनाटॉमी में कुछ करेंगे तो और कॉम्प्लिकेटेड चीजों पे पहुंचेंगे, तब पर्सपेक्टिव ड्राइंग शुरू होगा, तब मैं आपको दिखा दूंगा. Once you drawn the torso line, the hip line will be perpendicular to it, facing forward. The hips are wider than the head, but as the body turns to the side, this line foreshortens and could be as small as a single point. Right, so the next one, the legs should be about as long as the head. So जितना अगर हमने यहाँ देखा था, तो हम 4x4 का भी यूज कर सकते हैं अगर हम 8 हेड का कैरेक्टर बनाते हैं. Assuming the body is at foreshortened, bending at the middle for the knee. So first of all we have to consider this one is a foreshortening drawing. यहाँ दिख रहा है ना आपको, जो थाई का लेंथ कम हो रहा है ना, रीजन क्योंकि ये हमारे सामने की तरफ आ रहा है, फ्रंट पे हमारे तरफ आ रहा है, तो ये फोर शॉर्ट हो गया. यहाँ देखो आप साइड भी दिख रहा है, सो इट्स अ फोर, देयर इज नो फोर शॉर्टनिंग, देयर इज नो फोर शॉर्टनिंग. अब थाइस की लेंथ दिख रहा है ना आपको कितना ज्यादा है, सो ये फोर शॉर्ट हो रहा है, छोटा हो गया ना, पीछे की तरफ चला गया, इट मींस फोर शॉर्ट हो गया, हमारे आईज के सामने की तरफ आ गई ये लाइन, तो फोर शॉर्ट हो जाता है. लेकिन जहाँ फोर शॉर्टनिंग नहीं है, वहां आपको टोटल फोर हेड यहाँ से यहाँ तक आएगा, फोर हेड देन फोर हेड. So we need to understand about the 8 head ratio, or sometimes we have to use 7.5 head ratio. So both is right. You can do anything. 4 by 4 or 4 by 3.5. So this is the two things. There is, we always find out four heads. After that, we begin with the 3.5 heads. Or sometimes we want to draw a long character, lengthy character, or tall character, so we need to make it in a forehead for legs, right? Now, the poses begin with the hand also. Each shoulder moves independently, so they are represented by a straight line, like the hip are. The shoulder line connects to the torso at the right angle, similar to the hips, but it curves up, down, forward, or back as it moves away from the body, according to the pose at the arms and hand in a similar fashion to the legs and feet, only a little shorter, right? So the format, if we talk about the legs and hand, is similar functioning as we found it there, right? But the difference is the height or length, we can say. So the length of the hand is little bit shorter than the legs. So the posing should be very much similar. दोनों ऊपर नीचे जा सकते हैं, कर्व लाइंस हो सकता है, ठीक है. सो हम शोल्डर लाइन के साथ काम करते हैं, हाथ को कितना दूर से बैंड करना है, वी कैन अंडरस्टैंड अबाउट दिस प्रोपोर्शन. सो वी थिंक अबाउट द प्रोपोर्शन लाइन. सो मैं फर्स्ट वाले पेज पे वापस जाता हूँ. सो यहाँ से आप समझ पाओगे कि so you should understand from this diagram there would be in a forehead 1 2 3 and 4 head, so we can find out the torso line, right? This is the end of the torso and this is the one head height. In a mid we need to draw eyes, and half of the line we need to mention nose, and half of the bottom half then we have to mouth, and after that this one is the chin. And same we need to understand in a minimum, we can say the half line we can take for the head also. So one head, two head, right, three head and four head. So elbow comes on a one, two and three heads. So when you straight up, you can find out your elbow always comes in a three head. We can measure it 1 2 3 head. So when three head comes, we need to mention the shoulder, then elbow, right? So when elbow comes, elbow always touch with the ribs lines. Ribs हमारी होंगी, ribs के साथ में connect करेगा. So अगर आप अभी बैठे हो, so you can check it out कि आप देख सकते हो, just connect your elbow and where the ribs going to be end, your elbow should be there. Okay, exactly place it here. जहाँ आपका ribs bone खत्म होगी, rib cage खत्म होगा, वहाँ आपका elbow साथ में finish होगा. After that your hand ended with the torso line, right? And then you have to mention palm and the thumb, palm, finger and thumb. So it comes on a half thigh. थाइस का जहां भी हाफ होगा लगभग वहां जाके हमारा हाथ फिनिश होगा. तो दिखाई दे रहा है ना आपको, ये टॉर्सो लाइन का फिनिश होगा, ये हमारे हाफ थाइस के आसपास जाके खत्म होगा, ठीक है. सो हाफ लाइन के आसपास जाके खत्म होगा और उसके बाद हमारे नीज आएंगे, यानी टॉर्सो का नीचे तक का जो एरिया उसमें हाफ, यानी कि दो लेग के बाद नीज होंगे. सो 1 2, दो के बाद नीज और उसके बाद दो हेड उसके बाद आएंगे. सो we can divide body into two sections. One is head to torso, then torso to feet, and in between we find out the knees area, and for in between the two head we can find out the chest view, chest, and after that on the third head we can find out the elbow. So in this way we can divide our human body. And on the shoulder, again this is again important thing, the width of the shoulder, which kind of width we have to take. So same one head we can place on the right hand shoulder, and we can place another shoulder head on the left side shoulder. So एक हेड यहाँ आ सकता है, एक हेड यहाँ आ सकता है. So the distance from head shoulder to shoulder, right to left shoulder, there would be 3 head, 1 2 3. So we can count 3 heads from left shoulder to the right shoulder. So in between there is a single head and similar gap on the right side or on the left side. So find out the same proportion. When you stand, you can find out your hands, straight hand comes on a half of thigh, ये fix है. And the size of the palm and finger, when we place our palm or in the starting of the hand we can place on our chin, so we can find out the fingers going to be end on the forehead. So this is the size of our face. जब भी हम अपने पाम को चिन पर टच करेंगे और हम हाथ को पूरा फेस के साथ रखेंगे, सो हमारी फिंगर ना फोरहेड पे जाके फिनिश हो जाएंगी, फोरहेड तक होगा. सो इसका साइज हमेशा वी कैन मेजर इट फ्रॉम द चिन टू फोरहेड, इतना ही बड़ा हमारा हाथ होता है. ठीक है. सो दिस इज द बेसिक प्रोपोर्शंस ऑफ ह्यूमन बॉडी. When you start on human figure drawing, so you need to understand about this proportion. 4 by 4 head proportions you need to understand. Sometimes you can use 7.5 heads, both is okay, there is no issue inside it. और जैसे ही आप उसको चेंज करोगे, so in the last you need to understand about this kind of poses. So after understanding about the proportions, so you should understand about the four heads ratio, then foreshortening, and then you need to create a different drawings with the human poses in stick figure. Is it okay? So I will show you stick figures on internet also, if there will be possible for me. So just a minute, I will show you. So this is without proportionate drawing. There is no proportion in it. This is just a toonish drawing. This is again a toonish drawing. But when we want to see the figure drawing in a particular good proportion, then I will show you which kind of stick figure drawing you have to follow. Right, this is a toonish figure. This one is a realistic drawing, so you can understand this is the realistic drawing poses, right? So in this way you can understand about the realistic poses. You can draw this kind of poses also. There is a lots of poses you can find out in a human body, so you can take reference from anywhere else. You need to draw a figure in stick drawing, right? So it would be the process. We just draw a quick pose with the stick figure, then make it rough sketching, then after then we need to convert it into drawing, final drawing or final poses. So the process would be find out everywhere. You can see first step of realistic drawing begins with the stick figure. Then we mention rough illustrations of the drawing, then you can do some changes inside it and the proportion, and this line is called foreshortening. यहाँ आपको दिख रहा है ना, फोरशॉर्ट हो रहा है, लाइन पैर का छोटा हो गया क्योंकि हमारे सामने की तरफ आ रहा है. ठीक है. सो पैरेलल आएगा तो चीजें छोटी हो जाएंगी. साइड व्यू में फुल आपको फोर हेड वाला रेशियो फॉलो होगा. यू कैन सी द ड्रॉइंग स्टिक फिगर, क्विक स्केचेस. So in this way you guys has to draw few poses, rough poses. Suppose you can draw some cricketing poses, some action poses, like this kind of drawing you have to draw with a stick figure. Is it okay? But you need to understand about the proportions. This is the stick figure. Start with a stick figure और उसके बाद form, then final character. So मोस्ट प्रोबेबली आर्टिस्ट जनरली जब भी काम करते हैं इन तरीके के पोजेस के साथ काम करते हैं. क्विक पोजेस वो जल्दी से कैप्चर कर सकते हैं. सो स्टिक फिगर प्लेज अ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट रोल व्हेन यू वांट टू ड्रॉ अ कैरेक्टर विद इमेजिनेशन, और समटाइम यू वांट टू कैप्चर अ पोज इन अ रियल लाइफ फिगर. कोई आपके सामने खड़ा हुआ है, अब आप उसको पूरा हेड आईज नोज के साथ बनाने जाओगे, सो टेक लॉन्ग टाइम, right? You want to take a long time to capture whole body proportion or human pose. But in short, if you want to draw it very quickly, so begin with the stick figure. Then you can find out the exact pose in which the character is sitting or standing or talking with someone. So just capture the pose with the stick figure, and then with the imagination you can design the whole pose, right? So after that we need to change our stick figure in the basic line or basic proportions. So but the basic in the beginning we need to understand the human poses in a stick figure. Is it okay? कुछ पूछना है? Anything want to ask anything, guys?
No, sir.
So आपको असाइनमेंट दे रहा हूं मैं, आपको 5 पोजेस बनाने हैं स्टिक फिगर में. ठीक है. तो कोई भी 5 पोजेस हो सकते हैं.
सर डिजिटली बना सकते हैं?
नहीं, डिजिटल नहीं करना, अभी आपको ट्रेडिशनल करना है.
ओके सर.
ठीक है. सो यू कैन टेक एनी रेफरेंसेस. सी दिस इज द रेफरेंसेस ऑफ पोजेस. So you can take 4 shot, समझ में आ रहा है? The leg is going to be 4 shot, hand is going to be 4 shot, the thigh and the leg going to 4 shot. So in this way you can find out lots of poses with the foreshortening drawing. So try to capture the pose, see the action poses, right? And you can design different stick figure drawing. So you have to design at least minimum 5 poses you have to draw. Okay, 5 different poses with the stick figure. So you can see, if you want to draw sports poses, so you can take a sports poses. You should understand the basic proportion, the anatomy, then you can start working on that. So do some practice on that and then start working on the poses. I'm going to assigning you the next assignment